History was made on Friday, and we can see clearly now that never doubt Elon is a phrase that is not going away anytime soon. SpaceX IPO'd at $1.35 per share for a total valuation of $1.75 trillion and finished the day up 19%, pushing the company over a $2.25 trillion market cap. Elon is now valued over $1.1 trillion in personal wealth. I saw people lining the streets outside of NASDAQ on Friday, Mike, and I can't recall an IPO that was this significant in my lifetime.
Yeah, the number is astronomical. But I'm going to come back to it. I mean, how do you justify the valuation? I mean, the market is what the market is. The price is what the price is. It's the price that people are willing to spend for the stock. So I'm not going to hate on that, right? That's just the market. I'm just wondering what the people that are buying this, that drove it up to 2.1 trillion on the day, up $25, right? What they're analyzing. Because I still don't understand where the cash is going to go and where it's going to come from. The Starlink one, I've told you, I think that's an interesting play. That could produce lots of cash, could disrupt traditional carriers. Musk himself has said XAI is not an actual competitor for frontier models. He said that in his court case with OpenAI and Sam Altman. So what's its role? What about Cursor? What about Colossus? What about SpaceX? I get it. You can ship rockets up into space at scale and better and more cheaply than anyone. But who's going to pay for all that?
Right.
Maybe we talked about it. Maybe it's going to be partially a shared resource with Starlink. So this reminds me of VC. VCs are notorious for not betting on the actual business. They just bet on the person.
Yep.
This reminds me of that, right? Like you're betting on Elon, and there's the saying out there, I know you love it, Jason, never doubt Elon.
Yep.
And the bet is, we said how old he is? 55, 56?
54 last time I checked.
Yeah, 54, 55. You're betting in his next 30 years at max, he figures out how to drive cash out of all that, or what you might say, draw in even more capital with more grandiose ideas.
Yeah.
Why Mars? Go to Jupiter and go to one of the moons, you know? So that's what I was looking at here. Congrats to him. First trillionaire. I mean, if it's actually paper wealth, it may not be. I don't know how liquid that is, right?
I don't think so, but and I don't want to get into of how people spend money when it's not physical cash. But I don't think it's paper wealth, but I think it doesn't matter that it's not paper wealth. I think he can still get a loan for whatever he wants. I've been preaching about fundamentals and how they're not there for Tesla, SpaceX. This doesn't make any sense for a long time. A couple of weeks ago, we looked at the total market cap for the defense and aerospace market cap, the entire market cap. All the aerospace and defense companies are worth less than SpaceX was when it IPO'd. And now that it's gone up, it's worth much less. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me, and I think you're absolutely correct, is that people are... Yeah, go ahead.
Can you define fundamentals? Because people say this all the time.
Yeah.
The fundamentals aren't there. But are they thinking like astrology, or what are you specifically talking about? And then I'll tell you kind of what I think about when I think about fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then I think we need to say that to people, because we'll post this on YouTube and somebody will tell Jason, the fundamentals are absolutely there.
Fundamentals would be P&L, for lack of a better terminology. It is profits versus losses versus revenues versus free cash flow. If all that stuff adds up to we're making money, then you can calculate how much money a company is going to make in what period of time going forward in the future. Therefore, you can determine what their market value should be and what that company is worth. And if you did that with SpaceX, you're going to get a much lower number, as we saw last week with Morningstar, who did that analysis and came at 780 billion, not 1.75 trillion, less than half of this number. So those are the fundamentals. They're the numbers that you can look at and make predictions based on what's happened in the past, what's happened quarter over month, et cetera, the actual dollars that you can look at on paper and do some calculations that make sense and they're logical. Those aren't going on here.
Yeah, let me go deeper.
Yeah.
So the P&L is the result. It's downstream from something that produces the cash. And particularly, you know this, when I talk about my book, we'll talk about this, that one of the big mistakes is governing companies by P&L instead of the business model. And Warren Buffett in particular looked deeper than that into the actual business model and strategy and positioning. So to even understand, because to be fair to Elon, the P&L doesn't really exist yet.
No.
This is a projected P&L, right? So you're taking it on faith, in my opinion, that those things that we're listing, SpaceX, Cursor, XAI, Starlink, Colossus, et cetera, there'll probably be more acquisitions in the future, that there will be a business model that produces cash. Now, what do I mean by a business model? Because people often confuse this term. They think business plan. No. When I mean business model, and if you're asking me as a former VC of a corporate to invest in something, you got to tell me the following things. Which customer problems, which customer segments, which solutions, which value propositions, through which channels, which pricing, which revenue models, through which supply chains. And you go on and on and on to how do you productize that and industrialize that. I don't think most investors are looking at that, unfortunately. And that's probably why Warren Buffett was able to stake out his position, because I think he did look into that stuff. Maybe not as deeply as I just said, but he had probably an innate sense of how to do that. I just don't know how you can look at this one and say you understand that.
Right.
That's what I mean. You're not betting on the fundamentals. You're betting on what I think is a mythology around founders.
It's an irrational market.
Well, he has shown he can create value at the stock level. Yes. The question I think you're always asking is, can he do it, produce cash out of a business model? We don't know. That's open. I mean, I will give him credit on Tesla. He took that bet. Maybe he didn't start it. I know you'll say that. But he did disrupt an entire mobility industry. I saw the arrogant engineer saying he has no chance. Well, yeah. I would argue he opened the path for the Chinese ones by reimagining the vehicle to a software-defined vehicle. So that's what I always mean by fundamentals. That's what we're always trying to do on this show, is like go beyond, do you think this is justified? Like tell why, like why do you think this is not justified or justified? And I'm perfectly willing to say I could be wrong. But looking at what's in front of us right now, it's hard to see a repeatable, profitable, scalable business model out of all that. Unless he somehow is a magical orchestrator of all that. He might be. We'll find out.
Maybe we will have 1 million person habitat on Mars soon. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I don't know. And, Blue Origin just got all the moon jobs from what I heard. They got all the contracts for the moon base that we're making.
And I think this is what we always have to mention. We're saying we wouldn't buy it at that price.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not the same thing as saying you should never buy it.
Right.
So would you buy it if the price fell? And to what price? Because I have a feeling this one's going to drop.
Yeah, for sure. I think, though, we have a lot of people who are savvy and know what they're doing and know what fundamentals are, but they also understand that it's an irrational market and therefore they're still betting on it because you just never doubt Elon and it's going to go up because everyone is operating under this assumption that it's always going to go up because it's Elon, and also because he pulls in the public like not a lot of other businesses do. You're not getting a lot of private investors from these other companies like you do from Elon. I don't have people sending me, got my pre-order in, sending me the text, the screenshot of their pre-order. for any other company besides Elon companies. So that kind of momentum is very real. And I guess it is something that you're going to have to factor in going forward. And maybe I'm just looking at it wrong and not factoring in the digital media, social media age in stock investing, because I guess it does play a part. I mean, we look at Wall Street Bets, we look at what they've done with, well, they lose a lot of money, but they've made some really good plays and some really interesting plays where it's been social movements essentially that cause one stock to go up and others to go down when there's a short squeeze, etc.
And whether you like it or not, this is the counter argument to us. We're trying to tell you, if you're going to pay that price, make sure there's a business model that can produce that cash. The counter argument is quite simple. If there's a willing buyer out there who will buy it for more, who cares?
Yeah.
I'll get my return.
That's exactly right. That's what I'm preaching with the private equity stuff. Don't invest in that when it comes to your 401ks, people.
And I would have a hard time saying that the stock market has ever been fully attached to the fundamentals, right? You're doing the best with the information you got. And part of the issue is it's hard to detect what future information will look like. What will that future P&L look like? What will the future cash flow look like? You're just guessing.
The question that's been going on in my head lately is, has the world always been this sleazy, like scummy sales tactics? Has it always been that way and I'm just now aware of it? Or is it getting more so headed in that direction? I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer.
Hey, have you ever heard of Tulip Mania?
Yes. Yeah. That was what, Norwegian flower market, I think?
Dutch. The roses, right?
That's right. Yep.
Bubbles and speculation have existed from the beginning.
Yep.
I mean, there are people out there who claim there are no bubbles. It's just the current price based on the information you have. There are academics out there that will say that. Most people who have common sense think of bubble as what you're talking about. The prices reflect no fundamentals. They can't. They're detached.
Yeah.
So I think this thing has always existed. And is it sleazy? Well, I'm of the belief that you invest in index funds because I think you can play that game a little, maybe even get lucky. You'll also get burned like hell in that game.
Yeah.
Because for every Wall Street trader that takes one position, someone else lost their shirt, man.
Yeah.
So, but that's like the function of the capitalist market, like it or love it. It's helping mediate those prices. And sometimes I guess we end up in situations where, you and I will complain. I don't know how they're related to the underlying asset. We saw that in the housing crash as well. But it's nothing new.
Right. Yeah.
You would even get this in dark economies. Like in the Soviet Union, you would get stuff like this, right? But on the black market, right? Yeah. Imagine you wanted to listen to the latest, whatever, Rolling Stones, how much that would cost you privately. Yeah. I'm just making that up, but that did exist.
I don't know. We're going to just dissect that, I think, a lot more over the coming weeks. So stay tuned. Hey, you've just watched a clip from Show Your Priors podcast. Check out our main channel for full episodes. We have a new one every Tuesday. If you liked what you saw, give us a like and subscribe. It's free for you and helps us out a ton. Did we miss something during our discussions? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.